Hello, Crackpot me back again. I just thought I'd give you an update from my previous YouTube video. I have emailed it to Russell Brand. Thank you for people suggesting that. I understand that he's a very busy person, but I'm not exclusively asking for Russell Brand. I think that I was marginalising the amount of wonderful people out there that have the capacity to shed light on this subject. As some of you who listen to the radio may have been aware today, a survivor very bravely of the social care system and how it's affected her has spoken out on BBC Radio 2 and it will be aired again, I'm sure, and you can listen again. And it kind of highlighted, along with Professor Nuttall's appraisal of the social care system and Karen Broadhurst's look at how damaging the social care system is for children and families in the UK. Now, where we have a beautiful body of evidence and then we have these professionals coming in over the top, what we don't have still is enough media coverage. So it's all very well and good that we talk on Women's Hour to survivors of the care system and we all acknowledge how awful it is while we're all kind of sat comfortably at home. I just want us all to focus on the fact that nothing changes on its own, and we are a very comfortable first world country, but what we are doing systematically by ignoring these massive flaws in the system is we are abusing our children ourselves. So never mind safeguarding or anything else, we are allowing a system to take control of the safeguarding of our children, and it isn't acting in the best interest of the families, and those families are the ones that can act in the best interest of the children. So last time I was kind of trying to plug the form, and I'm going to do the same again today. It's going to be no different, I'm afraid, from me. I'm a one-trick pony at the moment, and this has kind of been my focus. And it's not just my focus. As I say this, more people collectively are coming together. I'm watching the group numbers grow. But as I've mentioned, there are a group of there's a group of admins that have come together from different groups, different organisations that focus on different parts under the umbrella of the family court system. Now, these groups all have completely separate aims. I think I repeat this, I'm sorry if I am, I don't care. But we're still coming together because we can see fault. And I think in the past where there's been fractures is because people haven't collectively felt the empowerment to do so. I'm first-hand experience, as are many of the members of these groups, if not all of them, have first-hand experience on how unjust, how wrong, and how deeply impacting that this situation can be for anyone. All these people need some help. Now, I'm going to just run through a few things in this video for those of you that are confused about what our direction is. And I've said it before. I have set up a page called March on Westminster to shake up the social services and the family courts. I am one admin. My other admins as well, they have been helpful in sharing the page. They also have their own stories, some of them compelling. But again, I'm not going to go into details on here. But one thing I will say is just be aware that every single member of all of these groups is someone that can speak from experience of this system. No matter whether it's CSA, social services, the judges themselves, the corruption is very interlinked. And I think that's what makes it very difficult for people hearing about this the first time to understand. Don't be stupid. The system's not corrupt. There must be a reason. No, the whole thing, how paperwork that's wrong, written by a social worker, there's no perjury, if she lies, then if she gets removed because of wrongdoing that you can prove, you can go to Social Work England, but that sometimes doesn't do anything. Then that person's paperwork gets passed on by the manager. Then that manager gets removed because that social worker's gone. So they put a new manager and a new social worker in, and that social worker and manager just pass over the information. So, for example, you could be classified as having an alcohol problem when you don't drink. If the social worker has said it, it can carry on, and you have to disprove it. So that isn't a fair and just court system, because you're actually meant to be innocent till proven guilty. It's a human right to a fair trial. Now, every day in the family court system, human rights and basic codes of conduct are actually breached all the time, every day. And it's almost like it's allowed because it's the family court system, because there's under this, oh, we're doing best for the children. Now, like with most of my questionings on things such as charitable work, I don't believe in making profit is necessarily doing good. I think there's a fine line between doing what's best and doing what you can to make money out of a bent system. And I think this is where there's a fine line. Also, that it's not easy for people that want to do good to change the system, because they will be penalised, coercively controlled, or shut down by the judges supposed to protect the system and the individuals in it. So I'm going to run through a few of the groups, but this is growing, that we have working on this. Stop Social Services, Lies and Corruption, Family Law Problems UK, Working Together for Our Families, March on Westminster, SA Hell, The Little People's Voice, SOS, Stop Social Services Human Trafficking Our Children, The Storm, Dads for Life Manchester, Family Law, SSS, Me Too UK, Community Support and the Great Awakening, We Are the People of the Magna Carta 2021, United Public Child Protection, Yorkshire Peaceful Warriors for Freedom, Child Protection UK, Fathers Are Important Too, and Support Victims of Abuse. We also, I've just been told we've got Exposing as well. That's another group, another two groups. I haven't got confirmation on the other one, but it's growing daily. Now, with each of these groups, and I think I read off 32 there, then there is a follow, people that follow these groups, and there are affected cases of up to, and I'm trying to be aware that some of these people are in these groups, so it's not going to be exact numbers, of up to 53,000 people. So if 53,000 people that are on Facebook, because not everyone is on Facebook, we have to remember this, not everyone is on Facebook, but if 53,000 people have decided that this is wrong and that they have been wronged, then surely there's going to be someone to listen. Now, I don't think I explained very well about the form. I just wanted everyone to fill it in. And so I'm going to take a moment to just explain the form, run through it, explain how you can fill it in. We are building a website that will be easier for people to access. If you only have a mobile phone device, I know because I've tried it on my mobile phone, downloading the form, saving it as a PDF can be a bit of a faff. And I know some of you don't have access to computers, but you still count. Just because you don't have those things doesn't mean that your opinion or the way you've been treated or the way your children have been treated doesn't count. So we are going to try and make it as a collective as easy as possible. So we're building a website. On the website, you're going to be able to go and access the form, and it's going to just go straight over to Amy at SOS, and all of the data off of it's like a tick box form. It's so easy to compile. You don't have to write long paragraphs. You don't have to write reports. It's not like you're in a court here. It is tick, tick, tick. The only thing you're going to have to fill in is possibly the name of the social worker and local authority. The rest is tick, 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 tick. Have you been wronged by them? Tick. Have you been wronged by them? Tick. Have you been wronged by them? It's really easy. And, I'm not fluffing it up. It's really easy. Amy has made it so that it will directly transpond into the database, but so we can start seeing patterns. So, for example, Melanie from Bedford has had Mr. Dickinson as her social worker for 6 months. Mr. Dickinson, even though she's reported him to Social Work England, has done X, Y, and Z. Melanie doesn't realise that she's not alone. Melanie places a complaint to the local authority and it gets ignored. She escalates it to a stage 2 and it still gets ignored. Melanie, by this point, has been battered down by the services, has been coercively controlled by them, manipulated, and doesn't feel really like another fight. So Melanie just lays under the rug and just goes, do you know what? I give in. Okay, and we've all been Melanie, okay? But what you don't realise, Melanie, is that male social worker didn't just do it to you. In fact, the Kafkas worker didn't just do it to you. Because these things are habits and patterns, they are repetitive. And if someone has wronged someone else and then they don't be brought to account because the local authority don't follow up on complaints because they're bloody useless, and then the ombudsman doesn't chase up the local authority because they're bloody useless, see how it all works? Then the corruption just keeps on happening. So what we want is to be able to recognise that corruption and say, Mr. Jenkins, it is very clear here, or Mr. whatever your name is, can't even remember his name now, he's so inconspicuous, we've noticed that on 16 occasions, you've unlawfully done X, Y, and Z to Peter, Bob, Mary, Sue, Melanie, don't forget her, and we want to kind of bring you to account. Now, the good thing is that if Melanie decides that she wants to go for a stage 3 complaint, she's fully within her rights. Will she get listened to? I will be honest with you, because I've gone through this complaints procedure with 37 very serious complaints to my local authority, with none being answered, some being escalated to stage 2. So, do I think she'll get listened to? No. From my experience and from the experience of hundreds of other thousands of people in these groups, no. You won't. But there's safety in numbers, and that's where we come in. So this little spiel is getting you to the form. I've made it easy, I've made it nice, and now I'm going to explain, once you've filled your form in, which you've just done because I've made it sound so easy, and you've sent it off to sosfamilycourt@gmail.com, and Amy's inputted it, and you don't realise, but you're a superhero because you've just made a massive amount of difference. Even if you don't think you have, even if in this whole process your voice has been completely lost, you've just made a massive amount of difference to a movement to create a proper, real body of evidence to take to Westminster and say, hello, we would really like some change, some positive change. So I'm going to read to you a letter that the wonderful Amy at SOS and Amy and Becky have done so much already behind the scenes in such a short space of time, you know, and I don't want people to think that when I say, oh, they've done really well, we are all doing really, 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 really well to survive this. As survivors of this system that is supposed to work for us, we are all doing really well. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I don't have another fight in me, don't worry, you don't have to fight. That's, you know, we know how the social services and the system has made you feel. We know how you've had to defend yourself as a parent, and you don't have to fight anymore. You simply fill in the form, sosfamilycourt@gmail.com, and that's it. You don't have to worry again. You're not going to get interviewed, your children aren't going to get taken off you, and if you want to remain anonymous, you can even write on the form to remain anonymous. So it's just your information to make sure that these naughty little critters get found. Now, I'm going to tell you that once we've got that form, we're going to send it with 300 other people. So it won't just be you, it'll be 300 other people with a covering letter to the local authority. And it will say at the top, because it was we are a collective group of 300. Well, you know, smashing that, it'll be we are a collective group of like 53,000. Whom all share the same formal complaint about the procedures/services within the family court. A group of 300 of us in this letter, we want to make a formal stage 3 complaint about the social services. We have, as individuals, made stage 1 and 2 complaints but have been relatively ignored. Our complaints are that social services failed to provide any of the 300 people with a satisfactory service. The role of the social worker is to provide honest and impartial reports and act in the best interests of the children, as set out in the HCPC, I could never get that right, codes of practice. This is their main role within the family court, and they are to provide factual reports to aid the judge and CAFCAS in their decisions. They agree to do this when they become involved in that case. The dates will be located with the names of the 300 complainants. And these 300 cases detailed below, the social case workers, and then, so with those complaints, we will then find out what they have done wrong. So, for example, for this first 300 complaints, the social workers have made reports containing false information and did not or could not provide any evidence to substantiate this information. They lied in court, and this can be proven. Always can be proven. Didn't care about evidence, do they? Not included vital factual information in their reports. Written reports in a biased and non-impartial manner. Not communicated effectively with other services in which it is supposed to in order to gather and act in the best interest of the children. Which is, now this is the good bit, 2.5 and 2.6 of the HCPC Codes of Practice. Contrary. So they have a duty of care. And we've just pointed out where they failed. Point 1. They failed there. They failed there. They failed there. They failed everywhere. They were not sensitive to domestic violence cases, in such as but not time to giving the perpetrator the victim's safe address, not believing allegations, and not making it serious when not taking it seriously when a male has reported domestic violence. This is 5.1 and 5.2 and 2.4 of the HCPC Codes of Practice. Not providing additional support for people with disabilities or mental health problems. This is 1.1, 1.3, 1.5, 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3 of the HCPC Codes of Practice. Can't say that. Intimidating people and using coercive control. Advising vulnerable people into agreeing to signing forms or taking certain roles when it is to be unfavourable to that person or their children. This is covered by 1.3 of the HCPC Codes of Practice. Refusing to provide reports or recordings of meetings when asked to for transparency. I've had that happen a few times. This is contravening the legislation 2.3 of the HCPC Codes of Conduct. Ignoring children's professional mental health reports when determining the best interest of the children or the children's needs. This is 2.5 and 2.6 of the HCPC Codes of Conduct. The situation in the family court has caused a significant amount of upset, distress, stress and profound damage to the relationships between the 300 named and their children. Now it doesn't, I've said this in the previous video, but we don't just want to vilify. I think that movement has passed. I think the idea of that we're bailing for blood, angry parents saying stop forced adoption because we've had social services in our lives. I said this in the previous video. People are fleeing the UK. I will be perfectly honest. I do not blame people, because the risk you have of having the social services in your life is it's all dependent on what kind of day they've had. Now, they can go and say that you're a bad mother with no questioning from a judge. And I mean this wholeheartedly. I've seen it time and time again. The judge will look at the social worker as a professional, will hold them to account in the court of law and think and assume that they are speaking correctly. Even if that social worker has only ever met you for 30 minutes, you have social anxiety and you feel nervous around new people, so you're quiet. You could be deemed as being obstructive. And in that moment, everything, including your life, can change and your children's lives. We're not asking for much, we're asking for fairness. And because we're asking for that, we have decided to help the social care system. We believe that we can give feedback and that we can change things to stop the corruption. Keep reports impartial and retain if they are regularly accused of being biased. Retrain on dealing with disabled or vulnerable people. Be fully up to date on data protection legislation to prevent errors in safeguarding vulnerable people, and their data, such as addresses, should be held accountable for such breaches. Abolish all targets. Listen, document and respect the children's wants and wishes from the age of 10 or 11 years old. Secondary school age. We feel that this is an age that generally children are deemed independent enough to travel alone and be trusted to have sense and knowledge of life and actions around them and be able to act accordingly and safely. Therefore, they should have the aptitude to be able to make informed decisions and feel who they feel safe with. Totally true. Why aren't we listening to the kids? Social service workers must be honest and impartial, giving advice to parents or relatives, and fully explain the benefits and the repercussions for the actions if they are advising a parent to sign something. There are people that did not know that they signed their own children away. And then they're made to feel stupid in court when they say, I didn't do that, why would I do that? You did, look here. The social worker doesn't sell it like that. If you believe the social care system is working for you and you're in a flabbergasted state of shock for whatever reason, do you honestly think that normal people, and this is how they get you, are going to think that the social care workers are going to lie, or that the judges are going to lie, or that Kafkas is going to lie? Because this is what's happening. It's multi-billion-pound industry based on our children's happiness, and there are people, and it's all over the news, and no one is really doing anything about it, apart from us. Let parents, relatives record all interactions with social services as long as they have signed a non-disclosure document and it is for personal use only, never to be shared with the media, including social media or any third parties. If any past or present social services reports are requested by a parent or service, then social services have a duty to provide a copy of these requested documents within 14 working days. I myself, this has been going on since November, I still don't have minutes to meetings that I've attended. I've still been quoted for saying things for other people that have got minutes in meetings that I bloody well know I didn't say it in. Or I will never know if I did or I didn't say it, because I do have a bit of verbal diarrhoea, because I won't ever get the minutes. And I'm wholeheartedly telling you, this happens every single day. We acknowledge that the social services are a service nationally used by the family court, but this does not mean that it is unchangeable. It is imperative that children are safeguarded, and we are requesting that you help implement these changes to help the family court run more effectively and positively for the nation's children. I understand that you are required to respond formally to my stage 3 complaint. Please let me know within the next 7 working days that you have received this letter, and within 20 working days to discuss how we can start to implement these positive changes. We are fully aware of the magnitude of trying to resolve the family court systems, and that there will be no easy, quick fix. We do not expect instant miracles from you, but we all know the current system is failing and people are losing trust in the system, which is then preventing people receiving the help they desperately need. Our aim, as is yours, is to safeguard children, and we want to help with solutions and not just find faults. In the meantime, if you need any further information from me or from any of the other 300 people I am acting on behalf of, please contact me at the above contact. Kind regards. And then on behalf of the SOS Family Court team. So that's where we are. We've got a covering letter. Now, this will be 300, so this letter goes with 300 complaints per local authority. This is what our aim is throughout the whole of the UK. So we need these forms. I know it might not be a lot to you, but for these, you know, all these thousands of people in these organisations, if you've had a grievance, you don't know. You might be like, oh yeah, but everyone, you know, it doesn't matter. Does it mean it was right? Do you feel that you were justifiably spoken to on that one occasion? Do you think that that text message was improper? Do you think that perhaps the judge should have looked at the evidence of your domestic violence and not just put it in the bin? Do you think that the court did negate, you know, doctors' reports in order to favour a coercively controlling and domestically violent ex, because that's actually the precedent and the statistics that it follows? Do you think any of that is fair? If you have been wronged, if you're a parent, if you are a grandparent, if you are somebody that is a family member or friend that has had a connection to the social services and you feel that there was a wrongdoing, then please fill in the form. I will put everything in the descriptions below. And the form is ever changing because we keep on having to add new groups to it. Similarly, if you want to add your organisation or support us, then please get in contact with me. You know, we're feeding back to each other on our group all the day, and you know, all day, and everyone's trying to help one another, you know, overcome this feeling of we're not doing enough. But we can't do any more without the information, and we can't do it properly without the information. So it's another real implore. Please fill in the form. Please understand what we're doing as a collective, and it's all of you. I don't want you to think, oh, it's just the admins. No, it's all of you. You're all involved. You're all there. We're all there for you. We understand. I understand exactly what you're bloody going through. And do you know what? You're not alone. And if there are people that don't have Facebook, that haven't got any support groups, I can put you in contact with some fantastic people that I've met through this that will help you in this journey. You are not alone. And I know complaining about the local authority or family court seems completely bonkers to some people, because people keep on telling me, you're never going to win. You're never going to make change. Well, I don't know. How are we going to know if we don't give it a bloody good go? And I really want my kids to be proud of me, and I really want them to grow up and go, Mum, you've made me feel safe. Or I can go to the social services if I've got a problem because little Tommy is throwing his toys out the pram. Oh, you know, something stupid. You know, we shouldn't be scared of the social services or the family court systems. They are there to provide us with our basic human rights. And I really think that anyone that has been wronged should just fill in the form. So, you know, back to celebrity endorsement if it requires it. You know, we're not fussy. We're quite inclusive. Any YouTubers or anyone that wants to share this and just help us get out there and share the form and email it to sosfamilycourt@gmail.com. And just make sure that you fill in your details. And again, it can remain anonymous. And I'm waffling on, so I'm going to go now. I've explained, I hope, clearly what our objective is. You know, with that, we are still going to be marching on Westminster, But wouldn't it be just the icing on the cake to know that we've got out our stage 3 complaints to all the local authorities to support what all of you are listening to on the radio, are reading in the newspapers. It's real. And before you know it, it will be happening to you. We're not in the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. We are, this is modern day life. Modern day life. So please help all of our organisations, help yourself, help all your friends and family. Fill in the form if you have any complaints and email to sosfamilycourt@gmail.com. Thank you.